promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Abuja. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world. We are live on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. WADR partners AUB to host second media summit on climate action as part of World Radio Day commemoration.
As we mark this occasion, under the theme Radio and Climate Change, we are reminded of the critical role that radio plays in our daily lives, particularly in our efforts to combat the existential threat of climate change.
Debates erupt over Senegal's public finance audit reports.
Regarding
the 1,000 billion, we have invited the president of the FDQ to instruct the various competent authorities to shed light on the owners or the ownership of the 1,000 billion account that his president announced he was aware of.
And ongoing teacher strike in Mali disrupts academic activities, and Burkina Faso launches an operation to collect Thomas Sankara's archives. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners within and beyond the sub-region. We begin the Newslink with some commemoration of World Radio Day, as it is observed annually on February 13, and it is to recognize the importance of radio in the raising awareness and promotion of social progress. Established in 2011 by UNESCO members and adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2012, World Radio Day serves as an opportunity to celebrate radio as a powerful medium for fostering international cooperation between broadcasters. It also encourages both major networks and local radio stations to promote access to information and freedom of expression. The global theme for this year's edition is Radio and Climate Change. According to UNESCO, this year's World Radio Day honors the various ways radio serves as a tool for adapting and to mitigating the effects of climate disruption in our rapidly changing world. Augustine Colley reports.
This year's theme, Radio and Climate Change, underscores the role of radio in addressing climate change, one of the most pressing global challenges today. Radio's ability to reach diverse audiences, even in the face of financial limitations, remains a vital tool for spreading awareness and information on this critical issue. Despite the challenges, such as reduction in staff and the rising costs of obtaining reliable information, it is essential for radio stations to use diverse and trustworthy sources to report effectively on climate change. In alignment with this year's theme, over 300 experts are meeting in the Senegalese capital Dakar to explore how radio can bridge digital divides and engage communities on climate action. The two-day summit, organized by the African Union of Broadcasting AUB in collaboration with the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and the West Africa Democracy Radio, focuses on the potential of radio to support climate action across Africa. Onigi Fineface is the head of the English desk at AUB.
We have experts that will talk to the issue. Experts from the scientific community, from media organizations, from United Nations systems, people that will tell us, in addition to what we think we know, how much more we can achieve in terms of giving out climate information using radio, which is very instrumental and very helpful as far as that is concerned.
As a medium, radio is instrumental in providing fact-based information, amplifying listeners' voices, and offering dedicated programs on climate change. It contributes significantly to the achievement of international climate action objectives, providing support during environmental disasters and helping communities prepared and recover. World Radio Day, proclaimed by UNESCO member states in 2011 and adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2012, is celebrated every year on February 13.
Augustine Colley filed the report. Now, at the ongoing AUB, which is the African Union Broadcasting Second Media Summit on Climate Action ongoing in Dakar, Senegal, with kind courtesy partnership from West Africa Democracy Radio, Gambia's Minister for Information and Media has been speaking. Ismaila Cisse, he has been saying that it is time for media to play its effective role in championing the cause of climate and, of course, changing behaviors.
The power of radio to bring people together, to inform, to educate, and to entertain. As we mark this occasion, under the theme Radio and Climate Change, we are reminded of the critical role that radio plays in our daily lives, particularly in our efforts to combat the existential threat of climate change. Climate change is perhaps the most pressing issue of our time, and one that requires immediate attention from governments, civil society, individuals, and from non-governmental organizations alike. Rising temperatures, devastating natural disasters, and unpredictable weather patterns are having a disproportionate impact on vulnerable communities around the world, including those in our region here, Senegambia. The Senegambia region is not immune to the effects of climate change, and we have already begun to experience its consequences in the form of droughts, floods, and rising sea levels and temperatures. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services, I'm very much aware of the critical role that my ministry plays. Our efforts go beyond mere information dissemination. As a country, the Gambia is taking bold and concrete steps to address the root cause of climate change, build resilience, and to adapt to its impact. The Gambia, through the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, and Natural Resources, has developed a national adaptation program of adaptation called NAPA to guide our efforts in reducing the vulnerability of our communities to climate-related disasters. We have also established the National Climate Change Policy, which outlines our vision for a low-carbon, climate-resilient future. Equally, government, through the National Strategic Electricity Roadmap 2021 to 2040, plans to generate 50% of its electricity from renewable energy sources by 2040. However, as significant as our national efforts may be, the Gambia recognizes that the fight against climate change requires collective action from governments, international organizations, civil society, and the private sector to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, transition to renewable energy sources, and to protect and preserve our natural resources.
And that Gambia's Minister of Information and Media, Ismaila Cisse, speaking at the ongoing second AUB Media Summit in Dakar at the moment. Now, still in Senegal, the release of the audit report on public finances is fueling public debate. On Wednesday, the Court of Auditors published a report detailing the management of Senegal's public finances from 2019 to 2024. The audit document highlights significant budgetary irregularities during this period, particularly concerning the term of former President Macky Sall. Francis Boniface has the details.
The 57-page Court of Auditors report indicates that during former President Macky Sall's last term, budget revenues amounted to more than 16 billion CFA francs. During the same period, the document also reveals that the outstanding amounts to be recovered sum up to more than 400 billion CFA francs. The magistrates of the Court of Auditors have detected transfer of funds to non-personalized services of the state between 2019 and 2024. According to the report, the funding paid with little traceability amounts to more than 2.5 billion CFA francs. The document also factors the public debt in Senegal and highlights divergences between the amount of loans and the figures provided by the public treasury. It states that in 2019, Senegal's public debt reached more than 65% of GDP before rising to more than 99% in 2023. During the Council of Ministers, Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye called on his government officials to work and reverse the trend. The Senegalese head of state also assured that corrective measures will be taken to repair these irregularities. A few hours after the publication of the report, the Senegalese opposition reacted. Pape Malick Ndour, former Minister of Youth under former President Macky Sall, denounced manipulation. He stated on his Facebook page, and I quote, "The harvest is past, the summer is over, and we are not saved." End of quote.
Francis Boniface filed the report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now, turning attention to the Central Sahel region, particularly Mali, teachers have been on strike for the past 3 weeks, demanding the payment of their research bonus, which was promised by the state authorities in 2017. Despite ongoing discussions with the government, no significant progress has been made so far. The strike is disrupting normal school activities in Mali, and students are becoming increasingly concerned about the academic future. The students have expressed their dismay and called on Malian authorities to address the teachers' concern. Echiatiso has more in this report.
Only a few students continue to show up at the Faculty of Administrative and Political Sciences despite the suspension of classes. For 3 weeks, teachers and researchers have been observing a strike which is now in its third phase. It is a deplorable situation, according to these students, who hope to finish their programs as soon as possible.
Our goal now is to finish the degree before Lent, but regarding this strike, they have disrupted our classes. We have lost 2 months of classes, so it prevents us from continuing our studies.
To catch up with a delay in the execution of programs, some students organize themselves into groups to do academic exercises. While discussions between higher education unions and the government are not progressing, professors do not intend to reconsider their decision despite deductions from their salaries. Siaka Kone is a communications secretary for the Union of Teacher Researchers.
We have only one concern this year, which is that we have waited from 2017 to the present. So we have been patient enough and waited. Therefore, we are determined this year that this bonus should be applied. So the withholding does not scare us, but it is also certain that the law cannot be applied selectively.
Meanwhile, universities will remain closed as a sign of a compromise between the teachers' unions and the Ministry of Higher Education, a situation that has not suited the students.
Bamako's correspondent Ali Ochiam's report, voiced by Eche Atiso. Similarly, Nigeria tensions are rising as another showdown looms between the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and the federal government. Following a 50% increase in telecom tariffs by the service providers, this growing threat persists despite a government directive to delay the increase for 2 weeks, pending the outcome of a joint review committee. In a press review, the NLC has declared that it will shut down economic activities nationwide from March 1, 2025 if the federal government fails to comply telecom operators to revert to the previous tariff rates. Usma Uma has more in this particular report.
As Nigerians are already grappling with the high cost of living, this development surrounding telecom charges has sparked outrage, with many backing the NLC's stance. Victor Adelaju is a public affairs analyst.
In Nigeria, we are very reactionary people, and I think it's still a byproduct of the military regime or colonization, where people are not carried along on the day-to-day actions and activities. The government needs to involve the Labour Congress in decision-making right from onset. And that is where we can have an egalitarian society, a society where everybody is carried along. And that is what is going to make the Labour Congress actually have its own real impact that it is designed to have.
Meanwhile, some Nigerians have also been sharing their separate views about the 50% hike in telecom tariff.
I really support this plan NLC and protest come March 1st, because it does not make sense. Why would telecom providers be increasing their tariff to 50%? And we need to see a proactive government. Our government has sold our birthright. Nigerians are nonchalant, and it's so sad, it's heartbreaking, and we need to call a spade a spade.
If the NLC is for the people as it should be, they should be able to put up a strong resilience against this increase in tariff. It doesn't increase the quality of what the masses get from them. So if it doesn't increase the quality, then there is no point.
With March 1 fast approaching, Nigerians are eager to see if the government will intervene or if the NLC will proceed with its threat. However, the looming question remains, will telecom services remain a necessity for all, or will they become a privilege only for the wealthy? The coming weeks will provide the answer. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
You're still listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal, and around the world we are live on wadr.org, as well as on Facebook we are live on WADR English service. YouTube we are live at WADR News. Here's a reminder of our top stories. WADR partners AUB to host second media summit on climate action as part of World Radio Day commemoration. Debate erupts over Senegal's public finance audit reports. An ongoing teacher strike in Mali disrupts academic activities. Still ahead in this news, Burkina Faso launches an operation to collect Thomas Sankara's archives. We have the press review, guest interview, and sports news, so stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's turn attention to Liberia at the moment, where residents of Medina Town, Grand Cape Mount Conte are living in fears due to a wild baboon that has caused chaos in the community. The situation has escalated over the past few days, resulting in multiple injuries and growing anxiety among the town residents. One resident, Joe Armstrong, reported a severe injury after his finger was bitten off by the aggressive animal. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker has more in these details.
A resident, only identified as Armstrong, had attempted to engage the baboon calmly, but was taken by surprise when the wild animal turned aggressive, causing significant harm to him. The situation escalated further when the baboon allegedly attempted to adopt a 2-year-old child. The child's mother bravely intervened, but was also injured in the struggle, which highlights the urgent danger posed by the animal. Armstrong explains in pain.
Life left from me. I had no opportunity. I said, hold my hand. And when on the way going and I had the nails of it from the feet scratched me on my legs.
Residents have described the baboon as unusually aggressive, attacking anyone it encounters, forcing many to stay indoors for their safety. Local authorities and wildlife experts have urged the community not to engage the animal, emphasizing that baboons can be unpredictable and dangerous when provoked. In response to the growing fear, some community members have threatened to take matters into their own hands if authorities do not act swiftly.
Today, we see that baboon because it is stress for the town or for the day. And you can know the era of Medina. You see the issue of baboon FDA. What can people do to wild animal?
As the situation remains tense, residents of Medina Town are on high alert, with many seeking refuge in neighboring areas until the threat is resolved. For Newslink on the West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Abraham Parker reporting from Monrovia.
Let's turn attention to Burkina Faso at the moment, where authorities have launched an operation to collect Thomas Sankara's archives. These documents, objects, and images will be displayed at a museum currently being under construction at the site of the memorial that bears the name of the former Burkinabe leader. The call for contributions was made on December 24, 2024, when the presidency has emphasized the commitment by making several archives and artifacts available. The goal of this operation is to fill the shelves of the museums, which will be specifically dedicated to Thomas Sankara's legacy and the Burkinabe Revolution of 1983. The special advisor of the head of state said that the representative of the ministers in charge of culture has been speaking to the media.
By handing over the archives and the artifact of Thomas Sankara to the ministry in charge of culture, we can say that we have taken a very strong action, because the memorial will not only concern buildings. It is important that when we go there, we find the presence of Thomas Sankara.
It will surely open the door or doors for other institutions, for other people to join the presidential pack and truly bring together all those who connect us, all those who remind us of that great man, so that we can finally really build a memory of his person.
And you heard Samuel Kaukumdo, the special advisor to Burkinabe President, and Abdoulaye Dione, representative of the minister in charge of culture.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Let's join now the dictator from Accra for the newspaper review.
Greetings. We'll start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page, former finance minister wanted. Ex-NPA boss and 8 others under investigations. And this is attributed to the special prosecutor Kisi Ejabing. Other stories here. President orders probe into National Service Authority ghost name scandal. Still on the front page, Jubilee House to host 68th Independence Anniversary. And Attorney General debunks dropping cases for political reasons. To the Ghanaian Times newspaper front page, OSP declares Ken Oforiatta wanted, takes legal steps to secure his return. Government cancels grand independence celebration to save costs, and precedent on working visits to Germany and Ethiopia. Finally, maintain momentum on fiscal reforms to build resilient economy. That's according to the World Bank. The Daily Post newspaper front page, former finance minister declared a fugitive wanted for criminal conduct. And also here, former NPA CEO Mustafa Abdul Hamid under investigation over 1.3 billion cedis embezzlement. That's according to the OSP. And finally, President Mahama orders investigations into National Service Authority ghost name scandal. The Chronicle newspaper front page, Oforiatta disappears from OSP's radar. Small boy Ejabin declares him wanted. Still on the front page of the Chronicle newspaper, Mahama hasn't directed me to drop any case, Attorney General says. The Insight newspaper, Ken Oforiatta declared wanted. OSP cites gargantuan corruption allegations against ex-minister, and this story has dominated all the headlines today. We'll end with a New Crusading Guide newspaper. Front page, OSP fights Ken Oforiatta over alleged corruption. The story shows up again, the most talked about story today. And finally, National Security raided Ken Oforiatta's house. And that will be it for the newspaper review segment. It's back to you.
Thank you very much, Nadede, for the newspaper review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is a guest.
And our guest interview this afternoon, as World Radio Days marked and observed annually on February 13, and of course currently ongoing here in Dakar, it is aimed at recognizing the important role radio plays in raising awareness and promoting social progress. Established in 2011 by UNESCO member states and adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2012, World Radio Day serves as an important opportunity to celebrate radio as a powerful medium for fostering international cooperation between broadcasters. And as said early on, WADR, in partnership with AUB and the African Union, the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction, is currently holding the second media summit in Dakar. And our guest is Onyejini Fineface, the head of AUB English Desk, and he speaks about this particular ongoing conference or summit.
First of all, we'll start off the event by looking at the role of radio in climate action, which is basically the focus of the World Radio Day. So we'll start off from there. We have experts that will talk to the issue. Experts from the scientific community, from media organizations, from United Nations systems, people that will tell us, in addition to what we think we know, how much more we can achieve in terms of giving out climate information using radio, which is very instrumental and very helpful as far as that is concerned. We also look at how we can bridge information gap using radio to address climate change and health impact. I'll give you an instance. If there's a flood today in your locality here in Dakar, the impact will not be so much environmental as it will be health, because the immediate result of that flooding is that you have vectors and insects and all manner of things crawling around, giving people sicknesses and so on and so forth. There's also issue of transfer of these diseases and then transfer of the burden of care to health centers. If your station is able to inform people ahead of time that this is going to happen, those that need to relocate, those that need to move to higher grounds do, those that need to take one precaution or the other do so, what will happen is that people will be saved from that medical challenge. They get to know that with this incident, if we do this, we avoid this, and then reduce the burden on health centers. So we're looking at the nexus between climate change and health impact, and how radio can come in to ensure that when climate incidents, climate crisis happen, people do not fall sick, because these are things that happen. There are also economic aspects to this, but we are looking at the health because we understand that health is wealth, health is life, so people need to know what to do when these things happen. But we are not just about experts coming to talk to locals, to people. We also want to hear from the locals.
And that's our guest interview with Onyeji Fineface, who is the head of AUB English Desk at the ongoing AUB Second Media Summit here in Dakar. And we can join Sankoli Janko for details in the world of sports.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The final draw for the CAF Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON Côte d'Ivoire 2025 will take place today, Thursday, 13 February in Cairo, Egypt. Former Mali international Adama Koulibaly and ex-Senegal star Suleiman Kamara will act as draw assistants, according to CAF. The tournament will see 13 teams compete from 26 April to 18 May 2025, with the top 4 nations to qualify for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup that will be staged in Chile from 27 September to 19 October 2025, CAF official website reports. The teams will be divided into 3 groups, A, B and C, with Group A containing 5 teams and Groups B and C, 4 sides each. Côte d'Ivoire, as the host country, is automatically pre-signed to position A1 in Group A. CAF for the state's remainder of the seeds for each group have been determined via the final placings in the CAF Under-20 AFCON Egypt 2023. Holders Senegal take up position C1 and Nigeria, who finished third 2 years ago, take up position B1. The top 2 teams in each group qualify for the quarterfinals along with the 2 best third-place sides before the competition continues in the knockout format. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting live from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek, Maudu Diouf and Umu Danyago for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook at WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our environmental program, Enviroscope. I am Christopher Ticho. Good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our broadcasts.
And many thanks to you for listening to News.